Cynthia, are those threats real?
They are. We're already seeing Iran have real threats and conduct cyber activity against organizations in the Middle East. And we anticipate that they could follow on with operations here in the United States.
And we said infrastructure in particular. Where are the vulnerabilities likely to be targeting?
So throughout infrastructure in the Middle East and in the U.S., we see Iran target what they can get into. So it doesn't really matter the sector. It matters how the specific organization has done with their cybersecurity, has been able to fix those vulnerabilities. Because what Iran does, they go on, they try to exploit something, get into something, and then they go out in the media and they say, we've done more. So I've gotten onto one machine in an organization, but I'm going to say that we've gotten onto the entire facility and say a water treatment facility is down. So it's really a mix within critical infrastructure of getting onto something, but then moving on and lying and exaggerating to try to stoke fear and chaos.
How sophisticated is their ability to get onto something?
So they are one of the world's most malicious and capable cyber actors. In critical infrastructure overall, there are many, many devices that are connected to the internet and haven't been patched for vulnerabilities that Iran is exploiting. Just late last year, FBI put out a warning about Iranian state-sponsored actors who are targeting critical infrastructure in the United States through these types of vulnerabilities.
From the perspective that we see the market, as always, trying to get ahead of any sort of concerns and indeed, well, move money on the back of it, we've seen CrowdStrike on the higher side, we've seen Palo Alto Networks in the green. Are we seeing really a desire to beef up the infrastructure of resistance, to see our companies having the right place, the right sort of restraints and, well, use cases in place at the moment?
Absolutely. We've seen a lot of movement towards being able to practice incident response plans, know what you're going to do if you are hit, including what you're going to do in the media to say if something's being exaggerated, to patch devices that maybe were on some type of schedule to be patched later, doing that today, and conducting a lot of engagement across industry, as well as with the FBI, to be able to know the latest on what might be coming down and what threats that they're facing.
And the threats are all AI in many ways, I'm sure, Cynthia.
They are. We've seen a lot of AI-enabled threats, and really where we see the biggest risk with AI-enabled threats is in kind of wannabe or very low-level actors, but that's who Iran might use. Iran uses proxies to be able to conduct their activity. There's one group our Halcyon Intel team had identified named Sakari, who is currently telling its members to conduct activity, conduct attacks in the Middle East, but they've used AI to make their bad software, what they're deploying, and it doesn't work very well. But what it actually means is it destroys networks when it gets on, instead of being this kind of ransom you're going to pay to try to get back online.
Oh, so like collateral damage when actually just trying to exert financial damage. Cynthia, from the perspective of AI, look, we just come off the back of a couple of weeks where software names were pummeled, where particularly cyber companies were under pressure because people thought generative AI companies were going to be able to take their business. A plug-in from Anthropic would be the answer to all our ransomware and cyber concerns. How are you seeing that evolve? How are you seeing companies actually wanting to use and build from within, or still dependent on external offerings?
So being able to build within is really important in a way to consistently know what's going on in your network, be able to fix those vulnerabilities I talked about in real time, and then be able to identify other errors or things that might be going on that are malicious across a network. But it's only going to know what's plugged into it. It's not going to have a lot of this additional information, what a threat group might be saying in a dark web forum, what's the new 0 day that might be coming down the pike. Figuring out that aspect, being able to plug the really sensitive, great information the private sector has into some of these new processes, organizations. Just means cybersecurity is going to be better. It doesn't mean there's a replacement on either side.
Can you take us to allies? Can you take us as to how strong their defenses are?
Across the close allies the United States has, there are lots of sharing things implemented, as well as these sharing mechanisms where we're sitting inside different governments. They're sitting with us to be able to counter cyber threats, because this has been practiced for years. Cyber threats just don't have any boundaries. They're going across the entire world. That's especially true with our European allies, with Australian allies, with Israel. And so we have really identified ways to share quickly, share in real time these threats that are facing all of us. And we all face the same challenges, but we all can come up with the same solutions and really counter these adversaries together.
And look, Cynthia, from just an audience perspective, is this likely to be an attack that is focused in the enterprise, in one's work environment? Or could this be something that you're navigating as a consumer right now?
It's mostly going to be focused within the enterprise environment, and especially within the United States. We have seen Middle Eastern countries or organizations in those countries being targeted by Iranian state-sponsored groups in the last few days for some of the data they might have on people, whether that's patients, customers, parts and employees of that organization. We do see Iran going out trying to identify personal information for people they perceive, maybe dissidents or enemies of the Iranian regime. And that's something to watch out for there. But we haven't necessarily seen that come over to the United States or to our European allies.